All right, Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom. We looking like on cross. On camera just. All right. Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. This is going to be a little quick video, just in case for the people that might question this, they always probably want to know, they come into this truth. They understand they Israel, but they might have a mixed child. Or they might be mixed themselves, so-called mixed. And they're trying to figure out, are they part of the 12 tribes of Israel? Do they have to go through slavery? What happened to the mixed people? Because we know that so-called blacks, his Latinos and Native Indians are God's chosen people. But they kind of question, what about the mixed people, right? Well, I'm finna show you according to the Bible, there's no such thing as mixed. There's no such thing as that word mixed according to the Bible. The Bible don't call nobody mixed according to the Bible. But the Bible do say you are what your father is, right? So you are what your father is. Because let me show you this account. Your lineage goes by your father because your father carries the seed. Your father, if it wasn't for a man, it wouldn't be a child. You know what I'm saying? That's why the man have the sperm inside him, and it continue even though he let some out. It continue to come back. Because he the one that makes the child. Cause without the sperm, you wouldn't have no child. Just like if you plant an apple seed, what's gonna grow? An apple tree, but it started with that seed, right? You know what I'm saying? So it start with same thing with the man. You know what I'm saying? The man, it start with that seed, and he determines your nationality. So you wouldn't be mixed at all. There's no such thing as mixed, right? It's gonna be a quick little video. So I got Numbers. Chapter 1. Verse 18, right? And it reads, let me get that. And it says, and they assemble all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the houses of their fathers, according to the numbers of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So they went to figure out their pedigrees and their family. They went off their father because Israel was mixing with the other nations. They was doing that. We wasn't supposed to do that, but Israel was doing that. So it went by that. So it was some kids that was so-called mixed, right? But it went off by the house of their father. So if their father is Israelite, they're Israelite. Simple. If your father, just say your dad is so-called black man, your mom is so-called white woman. Hey, you still an Israelite, and your child gonna be saved through you. If he keep the commandments, but in all, he's an Israelite because you're an Israelite. If you have a Hispanic man, and have an Asian mama, you know what I'm saying? They have a baby. Hey, the child gonna be an Israelite because his father Hispanic. It don't go by his mama. His mama a heathen, but his dad is an Israelite, so he'll be an Israelite. You feel what I'm saying? So to understand your pedigree. You know what I'm saying? And to understand if you're an Israelite or not, you have to go by your father. If your dad is Israelite, you're an Israelite. But just say you have a white man and a so-called white man and a so-called black woman, they have a child. That child is not an Israelite. It don't matter how it come out looking because you have some chocolate-covered Edomites. They kind of look like us. They got the same hair as us. But in the day, their dad is white. They dad. That's why you don't go off. You go by nations of people. You don't go by the skin color. We're not going by. That's why I say so-called black and so-called white. Because they're not really those colors, and the Most High deal with nations of people. So if your father is so-called black man, he from the nation of Israel. But if he a so-called white man, he from the nation of Edom. So he wouldn't be an Israelite if he from the nation of Edom. And it don't matter, like I said before, it don't matter how your child look. Like T and Tamara, they are chocolate-covered Edomites because they look like they us. They look just like us, but their dad is a so-called white man. And their mom is so-called black woman. So they wouldn't be Israelites. They going into captivity when Yahweh shall come back with the other nations. Same thing with Lauren London. Lauren London, the one that Nipsey Hussle was married to, you wouldn't think that she was a Edomite. You wouldn't think that. I didn't know she was an Edomite till you look and see her. Hey man, her dad is white, so-called white, and her mom is so-called black. But you wouldn't know that. By how she looked. That's why you can't go off looks and appearance. You have to go off the spirit and who their father is. You feel what I'm saying? And you also look at Blake Griffin's son. You have Blake Griffin's son like an Edomite. Blake Griffin's son like a so-called white man. You would not know Blake Griffin's son is so-called mixed if you seen him and you ain't see his parents. You would think he's just a so-called white boy. But really, Blake Griffin's son is an Israelite because Blake Griffin from the tribe. Blake Griffin is a Haitian, so-called Haitian from the tribe of Levi. So his child to be a Levite too because it goes by the seed line of the father. You feel what I'm saying? So this is just my video to break that down, for the people that probably was wondering and they ain't know, where they stand at. So if your dad a heathen, if your dad not an Israelite, man, it don't matter about your mama. Your mama could be an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? But if your dad, it go by your seed line of your father. If your father not an Israelite, you not an Israelite. But if your father is Israelite, you know what I'm saying, you are a Israelite by him because he carries the seed. He's determined your pedigree and your families and where you come from. Your father do. You know what I'm saying? So it's Buck the King. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem and Hawashai. And I'm going to say this too. This do not give people permission to do interracial marriage because they just be like, oh, well, I can do this. My child's still going to be saved. You still can't do that. You still will get judged for that, man. You still can't do interracial marriage. Yes, your child to be saved, by you, if he keeping the commandments and raised up the right way. But in all, you can't do that because you still gonna get judged for that. You feel what I'm saying? But for the brothers that didn't know and now they have babies, your child can be saved, and she keep the commandments or he keep the commandments. But if you a sister in this truth, if you a sister in this truth and you got a, before you came into the truth, or you might not know, and you had a baby from a so-called white man, so-called Asian man, Chinese man, Japanese man, East Indian, Arab man, you got a child, hey man, that child, I'm sorry to tell you, but that child ain't gonna, he gonna be a slave in the kingdom. He gonna be a slave because he's not an Israelite, and we know that by Isaiah 14:1-3 and Revelation 13:9-10. That he gonna have to go through slavery because he's not an Israelite. He's not an Israelite. His spirit not going to bear witness to this truth because he's a heathen or she's a heathen. You know what I'm saying? So this Buck the King, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. I say Shalom.